Okay, my beautiful friends, it is that time. You and me, we're together again, and I missed you. I really did. This extra day of, not doing a video blog because of the 3-day weekend, well, I miss you. It's the truth. Let's talk here. So it is Monday, January 18th, 2021. Big week. Big week for the market, although it's a short week. Obviously, we have the inauguration this week. I don't think this is going to affect the market. I know a lot of people do. No, I see a few other things which have the potential to move this market this week, next week, moving forward. The number one factor here, and this is something I've warned about, I don't know, for months and months and months. And that is a massive, epic, off the Richter scale debt expansion cycle. I'm calling it nuclear debt. We're about to see nuclear debt. Look, the game is very simple. This is a game, number one. Number two, the market, the only thing right now, only thing supporting this market is this massive debt expansion cycle that we have been in. And that is about to go nuclear. Nuclear under Biden. Okay? This puppet is about to borrow more cash into existence than you can possibly imagine. The nearly doubling of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet last year, you haven't seen anything yet. Again, this is the mechanism, people. The mechanism is very simple. We have a shadow government. The shadow government is global central banks. We have a one world government right now. Right now, we have a one world government. And that one world government is the central banks of the world, which have a stranglehold on the people of the world by causing nations and individuals to be slaves to debt. Slaves to debt. The hub is the United States of America. The Federal Reserve is the central bank of central banks. Why? Because the dollar is still and will remain the world's reserve currency, the US dollar, world reserve currency issued by the Federal Reserve. Why do you think that the Fed is dollarizing the world? Something I've explained to you has been going on for the longest time. The Federal Reserve is funneling dollars to central banks around the world. And central banks around the world are buying assets not with their currency, with dollars. There is a reason behind that. And again, we haven't seen anything yet. We're going to get nuclear debt. Nuclear debt is going to propel the stock market higher. Assets that are priced in dollars, that are not being rigged to the downside, are going to go higher. Okay, priced in dollars like crude oil. That's one thing we need to keep our eye on. We all know the game. The game is very simple. Crude oil is what? That's right. The lifeblood of the military-industrial complex, the lifeblood of the new world order. By keeping the price of crude oil high, again, they increase the stranglehold on the citizens of the world. So this mechanism is going to also push the energy sector higher, push financials higher. The market goes up with it. It's very simple. What else would you expect to see in a nuclear debt environment? Well, we've had a significant bounce higher with the dollar. Again, dollar free fall, boom, we went up. I believe the dollar free fall hasn't even really begun yet. By design, the dollar is going away in its current form. A crisis of the debt is coming also by design. This whole thing plays in together. And I know you get it if you follow this blog. No one knows more about this than you do if you've been following this blog for any length of time. So, understanding the mechanism here. Nuclear debt. I mean, nuclear debt. That's what's coming. It's going to propel the stock market higher. Will weigh on the dollar. I expect to see pressure on metals continue despite nuclear debt. We know who's doing it. We know why they're doing it. Again, just like how the Federal Reserve is the hub here for what the central banks are doing around the world, JP Morgan is the hub with regard to metals manipulation. Everybody knows it. The Commodities Exchange knows it. They're not going to do a thing about it. JP Morgan is too powerful. They are way too powerful. Being that they are the largest bank on the planet by assets gives them enormous power. They can do whatever they want, when they want. So I say good, let's embrace this, because we know nuclear debt is coming. I mean, it's been coming, but we haven't seen anything yet. This is going to be a whole new ball game with regard to debt issuance. So just be prepared for that. So you should be what? Betting against the debt, becoming your own central bank, understanding that the rigging of the metals prices is going to continue until it doesn't. And I don't care. We will continue to bet against this debt bubble, which is going to hyperinflate, just like I've explained to you for the longest time. The goal here of central banks around the world, which are the government, is to continue to inflate and inflate. And we haven't seen anything yet with regard to central banks' balance sheets. I mean, again, people, the most mind-blowing thing to me, seriously, last year, Federal Reserve's balance sheet nearly doubled. Have you heard anything about this from the mainstream financial channels? No, you're not allowed to know. It's above your pay grade, because if you realize that, if people realize what's going on here, they might start to wake up. No, they can't. They have to be distracted. Look here. Don't look here. Keep people in a state of anger, confusion, off balance. This is how societies have been rigged and manipulated by the few since time immemorial, and it won't stop. The other thing, okay, what are they trying to do? They're trying to enforce a deeper, darker police state, henceforth why they allowed the Capitol to get taken over, henceforth why they're expecting more violence. Believe me, the police state is foaming at the mouth, thinking about possibly more violent protests this week. This is what they want. They want a reason to push the boot further on your throat, cutting off your air supply. That's what they want. We are in the middle of a massive transition. I told you, an entirely new set of rules is coming, and it's being written by those people here that are being tricked into falling into the trap door that's been set for them. Violent protests are not the way to win here. If we allow ourselves to fall into those trap doors, we lose. But again, these are the useful idiots, and they're going to have rules dictated for all of us here. Very sad. We need to come together and realize, again, this divide and conquer thing has worked. It has absolutely worked. And our leadership has has led us into the rat hole of extreme division, people at each other's throat, a war basically here in the streets of the United States between those that have been duped by a lie, a plethora of lies, and those that are able to see through it. Unfortunately, this mechanism is leading us to a very dark place, and it's falling right in line with the grand plan that has been put in effect by the shadow government. The shadow government wants control. The shadow government wants to take away your rights, your freedoms. It's being played out the opposite way. This is what they always do. You remember reading about Federalists and Anti-Federalists back in the day? That's what they're doing now. They're duping people. They're making them believe a certain narrative, and people are falling right into it. That's the trap door. Believe me on this one, they want violent protests. The more violent protests they get, the worse off we're all going to be. You cannot solve this issue through violent protests. They're ready for it. Believe me, militarized police with military weapons, military tactics, the National Guard, whatever they got to do here. Understand, This has all been pre-planned, all been thought out. None of this, none of what we're seeing here is by accident. Nothing is by accident, and you know that. Anyway, so let's go back to this market real quick. Being that we know there's nuclear debt coming down the pike, market's going higher. Record high, record high, record high. The economy in free fall, complete collapse. The collapse of the economy, we're not even close to bottoming out yet. You need to be hoarding hard assets. Cryptocurrencies are going higher. Cryptocurrencies are going higher. Let's talk about Bitcoin, okay? Why Bitcoin? It's the mother of them all. Wherever Bitcoin goes, drags the other cryptos with it. Generally, this is how it works. We watched Bitcoin go from 42,000 to around 31,000 and change. We bounced off twice, 2 times. I said, look for this. Well, we did do that. Bitcoin right now, the other cryptos, they're kind of holding their own here. They're kind of in a holding pattern. But I believe they're going higher. Expect volatility, people. Look, nothing goes straight up or straight down here. You know how this works if you follow my work. If you have my new book, A Not So Random Walk on Wall Street, you know how these cycles work. You're probably laughing, looking at this stuff, laughing, because I outlined this all for you in that book, in my new book. And if you want it, it's available right from my website, traderschoice.net. Anyway, people, look, we know exactly what we need to do. We know exactly what we need to keep our eyes on, but understand what's happening here. Nuclear debt. I mean, it's not speculation. This is what is happening and will happen to a greater degree. I would call a nearly doubling of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet last year nuclear debt. But we haven't seen anything yet, nothing. And being that we understand that debt is what's supporting this market and will continue to push it higher. I mean, valuations don't matter. Forward guidance doesn't matter. Companies' earnings don't matter. Nothing. But we are going to see this too. Look, I know this is getting kind of long, but if you're a market person, I want you to pay attention to this. I've explained to you that this debt cycle is going to cause a multiple expansion with regard to the pricing of, let's say, a particular stock. What am I referring to? It's very simple. Investors, people that understand the market, okay, Wall Street, the hedge funds, the investment banks, they're going to be willing to pay more for a share of stock in a company because of where the debt is going. Nuclear debt is going to force, in many ways, or allow to occur a multiple expansion. In other words, like I said, investors, hedge funds, investment banks are going to be willing to pay more to own a share of stock. So this is also a reason why the stock market is going higher. So you have 2 factors. You have nuclear debt. You have a multiple expansion cycle, which will push the market higher. And again, the worse the economic news gets, the higher stock's going to go. That's the paradigm. That's the paradox here. And the trap doors that have been set here, violent protests, which they are expecting to happen, I'm expecting to happen, is a mechanism of control. And this is exactly what the New World Order wants. They're setting these trap doors. Look at the mainstream media. Look what they're pushing. Protests. They're trying to get people, riled up. Get them to protest. We've already been divided. Okay, we've been divided to such a degree, it's incredible. We have a war. There is a war going on right now in the streets of the United States between extremists on this side and everybody else. And that's just the way it's going to play out. And unfortunately, it's going to be that small group of people that allow the rules to be dictated. I told you from months ago, a new set of rules are coming and they're being written by the useful idiots. Trust me on this one. All right, look, that's it. Kind of a long video. Pay attention to these things, people. Watch how things are playing out because it's going exactly as I have outlined it would. So I'm telling you that what I'm outlining here is also going to happen. And we got it covered from every single angle. If you just can open your eyes and look and look around you. You can see what's happening. And then that means you know where the opportunities are. You know where the opportunities are. All right, I'm out of here. This guy right here loves you a lot. Please share the video, and I will see you in the morning.